When I met Dennis Brown, there was a little boy, young guy, and then what happened is that there was a band named the Falcons, and Leroy Osmond was playing with that band, and something happened with their bass player, and Leroy came to me and said, well, Foley, Miss Ivy, which is the lady that used to run the band, say, hey, trying to find a bass player would come and fill in a couple of shows. And that's where I get to more meet with Dennis Brown, because Dennis used to be one of their vocalists as a young boy. Pat Sashmo, and Noel Brown, Cynthia Richard, all those people was in the band. Falcons, it was a great band with Hans, and that's how I met Dennis, and me and him used to talk. Hey, young boy, and him used to sit beside me and him used to talk. I used to call him Rumpelstiltskin, so, it's a lot of memory with that. And then afterwards, years go by, and then 90 Observer, do a lot of work with 90 Observer, most of everything that 90 put out, and then 90 was working with him, Quiet Dennis Brown, do all those Cassandra and Westbound Train and all those things. Even before that, we're going back to even Michael Rose. Before that, Michael Rose, we do Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. We was the one that did the original version of that. So, yeah, with Dennis Brown, yeah, gosh.
So how old, just to give the people an example of a timeline, how long you've been playing in the scene, how old was Dennis Brown when you first started actually playing bass with him?
Dennis Brown was pretty young, man. Dennis Brown was probably about, I would say, when I met Dennis Brown, it was probably about, 13, 14, something like that. Probably younger or something like that. Yeah, probably younger.
But one of my favorite things to hear you talk about is the development of these superstar artists like Bob Marley, Dennis Brown, Mike Rose, Peter Tosh, and how when you first started working with them, it was like it was just a seed, and the way they sounded.
Oh yeah, well, starting from Michael Rose. When I know Michael Rose wasn't singing that great, and you must just around him always call me and ask me, and everywhere him see me, him say, man, come and sing with the band, man, and stuff, and I used to say, all right, and he used to sing a little bit off key and something like that, but and it was just, those days was something else when you're looking back now,
Sure.
And even Bob too, when I'm, know Bob from way back, as the Wailers, the original Wailers, with him and Peter and Bunny. We used to do a lot of work at the Psychedelic Shack, and we used to, do stage shows.
Sure.
You know what I mean? The time when I met Bob and when we were working with Bob and doing stuff with the Upsetters, Bob wasn't even dreadlocks. That's the thing, This is so we're talking about way early 70s, way back. So, and we used to do a lot of work with him, live shows.
Sure.
Stage shows, and Bob used to pass by my gate sometime, but Walton Park Road, and we would talk.
Let's talk a little bit about Bob. I mean, with Bob, first of all, the recordings that you played on early was a lot of it was with Lee Scratch Perry, correct?
Lee Scratch Perry.
And I mean, not only has Mr. Fullwood here played bass lines, or played the bass lines in the recordings, but has written the bass lines for, I mean, countless recordings. And I mean, let's just start off with a name that is easy to attach, which is Bob Marley. One of the bass lines that
Sun is Shining.
Sun is Shining.
Yeah, that's a classic. Sun is Shining, Duppy Conqueror. I mean, and there's so much more. The problem with that, with Lee Scratch Perry, at the time, he couldn't release a lot more of the songs than that we have done, because that's when the changes with Bob and the breaking up of the Wailers, and then Chris Blackwell, son, and Chris Blackwell and Lee Scratch Perry was in that, problem.
Okay.
So a lot of those didn't release, and my name was not mentioned on those recordings. It was just the Upsetters. So people still think that, when they hear certain songs with Bob, they imagine that he's Family Man. And Family Man, my friend, he's a great bass player, but some of those songs is I who play those bass, and with even Lee Scratch Perry, it was just we just mention as the Upsetters, and the Upsetters was just his recording group name.
Sure.
His label, yeah.
Okay. And you had also mentioned too, I think that the Soul Syndicate band was one of the first bands that actually test run Lee Scratch's studio.
No,
Or was
no,
it Channel One?
Channel One.
Channel One.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was Channel One.
Channel
Yeah, we
One.
were there when Channel One studio was built.
Okay.
You know, Jojo called us in, and you know, we did so much work. They test the first band, the first music that came out of Channel One was us.
Okay.
You know, when them testing out the studio, and that was part of that history. But you know, it's so much that we were number one recording band for probably about 3 years straight in a row.
Wow.
Soul Syndicate was number one recording band in Jamaica 3 years. We win El Suzy Award, all kind of different award for being the number one.
What are some of the albums that you played on? You know, Soul Syndicate. One of the major ones that come to your mind in that period when you won that award.
Gosh, it's so much people. We at the time you're talking about recording with the Wheelers. You're talking about recording with Gregory Isaac. You're talking about recording with Big U Roy. You're talking about recording with John Holt.
Freddie McGregor.
Freddie McGregor was a vocalist for us. Freddie McGregor, when I brought in Freddie McGregor in the band, Freddie McGregor wasn't singing as a solo artist yet.
Yeah,
he was singing with a band name. Now it was I forgot what the band name, but you know, it wasn't. We were the first band that brought Freddie McGregor to America.
Okay.
As our vocalist, and then he left and then becomes on his own and then becomes very successful as far as that. But you're talking about all, and beyond Roy Shirley. I'm trying to think back. Winston Garrett. You know, jeez. Just name, name all these artists.
Well, this song that just came up in the background here.
Who is not?
This one.